What's going on, guys? My name is Joey Franzo with Flex Training Systems, and today I wanted to kind of address the questions I got in response to my last video. Pretty much on every social media outlet that I have, I was asked about increasing the range of motion. Many people asked specifically about the deficit deadlift. I'm going to go through the squat, bench, deadlift, but in reverse order because I think it'll make more sense that way. The squat is very different, and I don't think it's as simple as just tossing in, a movement and then calling it a day. Alrighty, so the deficit deadlift. The deficit deadlift, obviously, it's going to increase the range of motion. Depending on the individual, you're going to get more or less out of it. For somebody like me, who already has a pretty shitty starting position, and it's very difficult for me to flatten my back out, unless I widen my stance a little bit, then I wouldn't do it. There's no point in me doing it. It's just gonna risk me getting hurt, and I'm gonna be pulling the entire time with back that's already round from the ground, so there's just no point. It's not practical, and my range of motion, like I say this all the time, nobody has to move the bar farther than me. I don't care, like even tall guys, like nobody moves the bar higher than me. I literally lock out like at my hips. Like I don't know anybody that has to do that. So for me, it doesn't make sense to add deficit deadlifts. If you have crazy deadlift leverages, right, and you're starting, from a very optimal position, and you're probably going to be a good deadlifter already, and you want to make it a little bit harder by increasing your range of motion, then you're probably going to get a little bit more glute action. What I mean is, the glutes are what's moving the weight. Your quads and your hamstrings are helping, finish, but the glutes are actually what's making your body straighten out. So as a matter of fact, yesterday I was over here hitting my deadlifts, my sets of 8, and I was only feeling my glutes, which is good, and my back was a lot straighter than it's been, which is strange. But you're gonna hit more glutes, increasing your range of motion with the deficit deadlift. I like the deficit deadlift. The issue when it comes to programming the deficit deadlift is you're already doing so much competition deadlifting. When do you have time to add that in without, taking away from your other lifts? I mean, if you were like a deadlift specialist and you had all the recovery in the world and you want to just annihilate your deadlifts, sure, then go ahead, add them in. For some, not too many guys right now, but for some guys that I only have deadlifting once a week, I will, we might have our couple sets from the ground and then a couple sets on a deficit, and then we'll call it and move on to something else. So they can be useful. I don't have anything against the deficit deadlift, but I definitely wouldn't be doing them for like a max set of 3 or maxing out on a single or something. Every person's going to be different. That's something that you should go over with your coach to decide whether or not, like if you're just in love with the movement, it happens all the time. Guys will see somebody on Instagram do something and they'll be like, Joey, I want to add this in my program, and I'm like, I don't really think you need that, or we already have that. We're already getting that effect from this movement that I have in there, So it can be useful, but there's a time and place. Like I said, some people are gonna get more out of it than others. Some people should probably never do it. So talking about the bench press now, how to increase the range of motion on the bench press. Somebody mentioned a buffalo bar. I'm not really too much of a fan of the buffalo bar because you can start to get issues right here. You can get issues here. Doing anything, any kind of pressing motion where you're having to pull too far back, even if you're doing rows, even if you're doing any kind of row and you're pulling way too back here, you can mess up it's called the bicep tendon because your biceps here and the tendon goes up and around, up inside. But I do like the close grip bench. I use it all the time. I was doing it 3 times a week at one point, and I've hit a big bench. Benched, I'll just put it out there, 410 or 210 kilos, so 463. If I'm wrong, then just destroy me in the comments. I've done it doing close grip twice a week, 3 times a week. It just depends on what I can handle at the time. I like close grip. It hits the triceps a little bit more. You feel like a different part of your pec. You're working a greater range of motion. Close grip benching can be very useful, especially if you're like a wide grip bencher. Close grip is like going to be a high priority secondary movement. I can't speak right now. I'm gonna have to drink some of this here taupe. Shout out to De Novo Nutrition. I got my cognitive enhancer going on. All right, here we go. Close grip is very, very good. If you're exclusively, competition benching and you bench with a wide grip, I would try a close grip. It's gonna be very, very valuable for you. You're gonna get more growth out of it, I believe, unless you wanna bench, 6 days a week to try to get a similar effect, just doing exclusively wide grip benching. Remember what we talked about in the last video, how, shorter range of motion means you could probably tolerate the lift a little bit more. With the close grip, you're probably gonna be good to go, benching 2-3 times a week. You're gonna get a little bit more growth out of it. Your arms are gonna look good because you're gonna have nice big medial heads on your triceps. And I have nothing against that. Not too much of a fan of a buffalo bar. I'm all about specificity. You don't want to get too far away from what you're gonna do in competition. Let's say you end up getting hurt one day. And you can't do your wide grip for whatever reason. You can bench close grip and still put up a respectable, a decent bench. This actually happened to me in like 2014 IPL Nationals or something like that. Long time ago, before I came to the USAPL. My shoulder was jacked up or my pec was jacked up, and for whatever reason I couldn't do my comp grip. So I just went ahead and did close grip, and it was like relatively close to my super wide grip. So onto the squat. So far everything's good, right? So deficits, okay, time and place. Close grip, very valuable. Probably everybody can benefit from them. Now moving on to the squat. There's a lot of moving parts on the squat, and when you think about increasing your range of motion on the squat, like how can we do that? You might think, okay, squat super deep. Well, the first thing is when squatting, I would never want someone to have to ever think about intentionally cutting their depth high. You don't want to be thinking when you're squatting. You want to be squatting when you're squatting. You want to just go under the bar and it's automatic. It takes care of itself. That's literally like guys that I've worked with, and even myself, there's been times when like you step on the platform and after that it's like autopilot. Everything just happens. You get your hand set, you squat, you don't even think about it. And that's what we want. We don't want you thinking about things on the platform. And doing a lot of singles leading up to your meet can help you dial that in. So you want to have your stance, in a way to where you're not going to have to think to cut yourself high. Meaning, if you already squat super deep, you probably don't even need to worry about increasing your range of motion at all. Now, if you want more hip hinge, you can squat in flats. If you want more knee flexion, you can squat in heels. Everybody's going to have X amount of that already, just based on who they are. I would say it's probably a good idea to hit all the angles if your recovery allows so. So if you're already training your competition squat and you want to hit a little bit more posterior chain, you want to hit a little bit more quads, then yeah, you can add in those movements. But like that goes for all these movements. If you can't handle adding anything else on top of your competition lifts, then you're gonna have to take what you can get. So in the squat, if you want to increase your knee flexion, again, front squats, high bar squats, wear heel. If you want to increase your hip hinge, then try something in flats. I would say, obviously, like we're human beings, we stand straight up. The more narrow your stance is, the greater the range of motion is going to be. But you have to be careful, because then you get into, like, you're going to feel your lower back a lot more from a narrow stance. You might have like butt wink, lower back, heavyweight. If you haven't done it before, you could end up dying and killing yourself. Trying to increase your range of motion. So for squats, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Try to pick a competition stance that's kind of moderate, to where you're squatting just below parallel. You're not doing anything crazy. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much my take on it. I like increasing range of motion. It just depends on the lifter and depends on the scenario. Shout out to, I think they're called Stoked Athletics. Mike Borgie was the one who DM'd me specifically, so you guys can, yeah, Stoked, S-T-O-K-E-D. My girlfriend's looking at me with a face right now. They're the guys with the rainbow shirts, like literally tie-dye, the tie-dye rainbow shirts. Yeah, so shout out to Mike and Matt over there on the East Coast. Thanks for the good question, and everybody else who dropped it in the Snapchat, the freaking Instagram story, and the DMs and all that. So with anything that I say, these are my experiences. These are things that I have found to, if I say it's good, if I say it's bad, these are conclusions that I've come to. I would say whenever you're taking advice or finding any advice at all on the internet, to keep an open mind, take what you think can help you, and then apply it to yourself, test it out. If it works, then do it. If it doesn't work, don't do it. And that's how you come up with your own style. And that's kind of what I've done, just learning from as many people as I could have over the years. Now, you know, some of these things, like you might be able to tolerate close grip benching now, but as time goes on, maybe you can't. Maybe you have a shoulder problem. Maybe, you know, whatever, things happen. I know not until very, very recently, it was difficult for me to even train deadlifts. We have the Arnold coming up in a few weeks, and I couldn't even train. I was just doing singles on deadlifts because I couldn't tolerate any volume. I can handle volume like crazy now. You know, the body changes, we adapt. What's working before may not always work. And don't be afraid to try new things, but don't switch off of your current program too soon. Alrighty guys, I hope you're able to take something valuable away from this video. If you feel this video deserves so, please drop a like, as it helps grow the channel. Thank you to everyone who's been showing me love and giving me good questions over the last couple weeks. I appreciate every single one of you. Links in the description below for all that good stuff. And I will talk to you guys in the next video.